Guys, this is an absolutely incredible combination of these two gentlemen joining me today. Y'all have no idea what type of a treat you are in for. I've been anticipating this this call for honestly a couple of years. Since I first showed Santos Purium, I was like, wow, if I could ever get Santos and Dave on a call together, we might just break the internet together. And we might do that today. But really excited for the both of you guys making some time out of your busy schedules to hop on. And everybody who's watching us do this live right now, as well as watching the replay, thank you for your time as well. We're going to be talking today about a very special company, a movement called Purium, the transformation company, something that Dave had in his mind upwards of 30 years ago when you first started sharing organic nutrition with the world. And Dave, you've been an absolute pioneer in this space. You were helping people transform their bodies in Hollywood so that they could look better for movies, as well as just helping your average person get their daily health back so that they could feel and look and feel like their best selves. Dave, so much gratitude to you for the creation of this company and the creation of this movement. To start us out, Dave, if you could, please share with us, how did Purium start? What was it called at first? Where did your vision come from? What's the story behind you and sharing these superfoods with the world?
Well, first of all, I'm far from a pioneer. I am standing on the shoulders of giants, if you think you could see me. Ann Wigmore, Bernard Jensen, Hannah Kroger, Paul Bragg. These people were already old by the time I came, to their footsteps, to their understanding of what this quality of food could do for your body. So I'm a good student, that's really the truth. I have a really good memory, and I'm pretty good at putting puzzles together. And that's what this all has been for me. It's a quest. As you said, it's a movement. It's far more than anything like that. So let me just give you some background, but I'll try to be quick. I had a troubled youth. I was the kid who no teacher wanted in their class. I was the kid who my parents literally just couldn't handle me, and they said, you're gonna have to sink or swim. And they showed me the door when I was way younger than that should ever happen to a child.
Yeah.
And when that happened, my aunt heard about it, and she said, "There's no way you're living in the street." And she called my parents and said, "You send him to me. Here's the money for a plane ticket." And I went up to a little town called Orville, and there I had the love, of my auntie, who was a beautiful, amazing woman, and I was still trouble, And one day I ditched school and I was coming home didn't think my aunt and uncle were home, but my aunt was, and I looked through the window and I saw her hand shaking as she tried to drink a cup of coffee, and that was really weird. So I went in, and she confessed to me that she had multiple sclerosis. And the experts from around the world came to tell my uncle, because he had good money, they came to tell him that this was because of the colorings in the food, the preservatives in the food, the poison in the food, DDT, which is the predecessor to glyphosate. Not for the same reason, but as a poison that needed to be exposed. And just a short time later, I lost my aunt, and I lost the pleasure of all the things that came with it, because my uncle was destroyed by her death, and having a little troublemaker like me around just wasn't in the cards anymore. So I found myself on the streets again, but not without anger, so much anger toward these companies that killed my aunt, the fast food, the talking to a clown to get your food, the preservatives, the microwaves, the fast food, what they called back then TV dinners, and things like that. You just throw it in the oven, sit down in front of the TV and eat your food. And so this motivated me in ways that only a really angry person could be motivated. And I began to look for answers, and those answers came to me in pure food. They came to me in being a vegetarian, and then a vegan, and then a raw food vegan, and then a fruitarian, and then a breatharian. As you know, I didn't even eat for 16 months just to prove I
Yeah.
could live on sunlight and pure
Yeah.
water. So
When
that's
was
where it
that,
came from, you
Dave?
know?
We're
Yeah,
we're gonna get into that part of the story. Actually, sorry.
that's okay.
Go ahead.
No, I'm just saying that. So I didn't know where you wanted me to jump in, you know, but that's what motivated me to start ultimately this company was, you know, the fear that people would not have access to pure food, you know,
Mm.
and so I had to build that arc, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, you said that something had happened to your aunt. What specifically had happened to your aunt, and you know, how did that get you started through your journey of discovering pure food, leading a vegetarian, then vegan, then raw food, then even a breatharian lifestyle? How did that domino effect take place? And then Santos, I got some questions for you afterwards.
Yeah, you missed fruitarian in the middle, but
Sorry about
but
that.
yeah, you know, it really was just like I said, it was just that journey to know that I could do better for myself, you know, first for myself, and then ultimately, I want to do better for all y'all as well.
Mm. Okay. Now, Santos, brother, real quick to you. You've been on this journey, on this health, you know, food journey, this healing journey for some time as well. But really, for you, you had mentioned how it kind of started spiritually for you. You know, you've talked many times about how you were a Jehovah's Witness and how, you know, your zealousness for truth, how that's led you down different paths. And, you know, eventually you came across Dr. Sebi, incorporating some of the things that Dr. Sebi was teaching. That led you to a plant-based lifestyle. You know, how long have you been on this healing journey? And, you know, when did you come across Purium as well? And how did that lead you to Purium?
Yeah, so I decided in 2007 that I would never eat flesh again. And I was basically a pescatarian anyway. I didn't know how people could go to a restaurant to order a steak. What you why would you go and glutton yourself on something so heavy? I never understood the red meat lust of my let's say my Italian Calabrian relatives and the culture of pork eating and etc. So anyway, I decided just like that one day that I would be vegan forever, and I haven't turned back. Right, so um, but Purium came along when you were watching me with all my anger at signing up or thinking of signing up with a company that that was selling stuff that had natural flavor in it or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
and you and then you approached me after that and said, look, I think what you're trying to achieve with gut health and maintaining a rich, nutrient, enzyme-rich vegan lifestyle is Purium. And I already had Purium friends. I mean, on my Instagram, you see me with a friend, right, who, before I joined Purium, there he is with his Purium shirt. And
Mm-hmm.
I've got my Life Wave in one hand, and he's got Purium t-shirt on the... Anyway, so I had a lot of Purium friends around. And then you, of course, helped me to get it because you saw that I was frustrated with that other product. And I haven't stopped using it since. Yeah, every day. Like, I love having a coconut. I get coconuts here, right? So I crack a coconut in the morning and I dump that in the blender. So I got the blueberry, um, you know,
Dark berry.
the berries, right? 2 tablespoons of that, and then the green mix, right? The green one.
Power shake,
One
yeah.
I'll shake, yeah. 1 tablespoon of that.
Mm.
Um, you know, and I'll squeeze a couple of drops of the other stuff, right? You know the stuff I've got.
Yeah, yeah.
I've got everything. So, and then about 7 or 8 mature bananas, and then so with coconut water, parasite killer, right? Every day, coconut water, and banana and Purium. I am basically a minimalist. I'm not eating much.
Yeah.
I'm not a glutton. I'll never, ever, I never was. I've never had such a thing called constipation. How do you get that?
Yeah.
I mean, what is it? So, nonetheless, because I was never a glutton, but these days I'm a minimalist, a hermit,
Yeah.
a hermetic, basically, essentially. And every day I get my nourishment from Purium. And this is another thing I do. I really appreciate, David, your product, Apothecary, because of the malic acid content in it that is so important every monthly cycle. Okay, every new moon, right? You do a natural liver flush every new moon, right? Now, it's the Andreas Moritz one. Everyone knows this, right? He may have been unalived because of teaching this. So anyway, every month, along with other protocols, this protocol must be sacred and holy that you look after the liver, which represents to live. And so, where was I going? I think I
You were
just.
talking about the monthly liver flush that you use the Apothecary for.
Oh yeah. Okay. So in that protocol, for a week, you soften the liver stones, the kidney stones, etc. Right. I better get out of the rain. It's starting to rain outside.
Oh, there we go.
Oh. So I'll do this inside. So what you do, guys, if you're a person like me that doesn't like to go to the bathroom every 10 minutes because you've got to drink malic acid in terms of apple juice, right? You can just get a tablespoon, 1 tablespoon of Apothecary, make, I would say, 800 milliliters of water, and mix that and sip that all day long for 7 days before, on the very new moon, you do this flush. Now, I've been doing this for years, and it's the happiest day of my monthly cycle. So, yeah, and then back onto Purium and nourishment. And I believe you've got something in there for this yourself, David. And by the way, my son, my one and only begotten son, I named him after King David, being a very, very
Kavika.
decades.
That's amazing. You know, guys, I can't explain the amount of synchronicities between the two of you. For those of you who don't know, both Dave and Santos are Leo risings, number 1. Number 2, obviously Santos, you're a sun sign Aries, but guys, Dave is a moon sign Aries, and Santos,
No, I'm a Pisces. I'm a Pisces.
Yeah, but your moon is an
moon
Aries.
sign Aries. I apologize.
Right.
Yeah,
right,
yeah.
right. All good. And then for Santos, your moon is in Pisces, whereas his sun is in Pisces. So your sun and moons are reflecting one another, as well as you guys are both Leo risings.
Cool.
It's absolutely perfect. Absolutely perfect. So much alignment there.
That's nice. Yes.
Yeah, man.
Blend. Yes. That's good.
So when I was in a head-on collision, they told me I wouldn't walk again. There were bone fragments all up and down my spine. And it was really painful if one of those bone fragments, obviously, as you know, got in a bad place. So I drank a gallon of raw pressed apple juice a day. As he said, every 2 hours, as long as I was awake, starting with waking. And I didn't pass kidney stones per se, but I did dissolve all of those bone particles and allow my bones to begin to heal, taking other superfoods like super aminos and in all the green foods, right? And so, a lot of people don't realize it's not just kidney stones that malic acid will work on. It's also unwanted bone fragments in your injuries around your body.
That is brilliant. Thank you so much for sharing that, Dave. And that being said, guys, let's get right into the benefits of the ultimate lifestyle transformation. And Dave, if you could, kind of one by one explain why every product in there is necessary, not just the pesticide detoxifying probiotic that is the absolute life changer we know as Biomedic. Not only cleansing the parasites with Super Cleanser, not only the Super Amino 23, but why we need all of them. If we could just kind of go one by one, why most Americans, people in Canada and Europe need this absolutely amazing ultimate lifestyle transformation.
Well, it's pretty simple on the face of it. We have the world's most potent vegetable green plants. We have the world's most potent, fruit, category. I'm not going to argue over which one, but this has melatonin. It has all these incredible nutrients that are not found anywhere else, Yeah. And so I believe we have the ultimate, fruit. We have the ultimate green foods. We have the ultimate protein, and then we have, in my opinion, what is needed more than anything for detoxification, rebuilding the gut. So I'm going to go pretty quick down the line with the Power Shake. Sure. The first two ingredients in the Power Shake, studies just have come out showing that those two ingredients remove forever chemicals. Those chemicals that were thought to stay in your body forever and are dangerous to you forever. Well, now we have a way to clean them out. And that's to have, again, the first two ingredients in the Power Shake. It also is loaded with the most potent green plants on this, blue planet. And so, we have to understand how important green plants are for all of the reasons, from everything from folate for pregnant mothers, to trace minerals. All of the elements that come from plants are the same elements that oxygen creates through photosynthetic activity. Photosynthesis, the blood of plants, is identical to the blood of humans, with the exception that iron and magnesium are inverted. And magnesium, of course, is so important to all the parasympathetic muscle activities across the body. We could get into a lot of science about that, but let me just say that the Power Shake is powerful for your body. The next thing we could look at, if we want
Real quick, Dave, sorry, just to touch on that one more time.
Yeah.
Are you saying that the Power Shake is going to help build our blood? Is that what it does?
Oh, absolutely. It helps build our blood to make it carry more oxygen, okay? And that's really important. It helps build our blood and also, of course, detoxify our liver, detoxify, our blood, because it runs through our liver. And ultimately, our liver dumps things down into, into the other cleansing organs within the body. Okay.
Yeah.
So, so this is really important for cleansing the kidneys, which are part of the liver, which are part of the blood. These are all interacting constantly. And of course, the heart is pumping all that blood for us. So again, magnesium, really important to our heart, really important to our blood, really important, for our health. But again, moving down the line, let's just take protein next.
Sure.
As a vegan, if you are a vegan, then you need to know that getting the high quality protein is very important. So all I could say is that this protein that I'm offering you was used in hospitals, is used in hospitals to help reverse something called muscle wasting. Muscle wasting is when your muscles go away because you're paralyzed, or perhaps you're in a coma. And if that lasts for too long, you could die because your muscles actually pump blood for you. You think your heart does, but when you get to the capillaries, okay, the capillaries are so small that your blood vessels go through them single file, and it's your muscles contracting and expanding. Okay, that is that peristaltic activity of your body actually moves most of your blood through the outer parts, and you would literally die if that didn't happen. So if you're in a coma, if you are paralyzed, you need to build muscle, and no one knew how. Well, this protein, show them one more time, this protein actually builds muscle even if you're paralyzed, even if you're in a coma, even if you're asleep. Okay? And that's powerful, especially if you're a vegan. And it's 99.9% bioavailable to your body to build muscle. Now, I could go through all the science, but you know that the highest quality protein you could get from an animal is no more than 27% bioavailable. And all of the remaining turns into toxic matter, which poisons your body after you consume it. So again, super aminos leave zero waste for your kidneys, zero waste for your liver, and zero waste in your blood. Wow. How's that for amazing? Wow. So again, they are start to be absorbed. The reason we call them super amino 23 is because 23 minutes after consuming them, you know that they're going into your blood and body. And within 2 hours after consuming them, you know that they've been completely absorbed into your blood and into your body. Wow. So moving on, the next thing is apothecary. Apothecary, they did an epidemiological study. Now, the nurses' studies went over 10,000 people from all different jobs, all different careers, all different locations around the country. And the people who lived the longest, who looked the youngest, who had fewer visits to the hospital were the people who grew tart cherries. Isn't that crazy? The ones, over 100 different people who grew tart cherries, lived the longest, looked the youngest, slept the best, and all these things were related because they radically scavenge for antioxidants. I mean, they are antioxidants that radically scavenge for free radicals. And they're powerful at helping your body deal with inflammation. And they're powerful at helping you go to sleep and stay to sleep and get those 2 hours of deep sleep. That is when your body rejuvenates itself, does most of its work in those 2 critical hours, and most Americans don't get those 2 critical hours. I don't want to give a speech, so let's move down the line to the most important product in this package, which is the Biomedic. 90% of beverages and 75% of food in our grocery stores are contaminated with a chemical in which billions of dollars have been paid out because it actually kills people. Yet it's on the food you feed your children, on the food you give yourself. And most of the food, if you're a vegetarian, if you're a plant-based person, that's where most of this chemical is in. It's not in meat.
Yeah.
It's in your plants because it is used abundantly on farms. And people on farms are dying and winning, like I said, a lot of money from the company that makes it. But they make so much money, it's just a cost of doing business for them. So again, this is a product that helps restore integrity to the lining of your gut, helps purge the toxin that literally can cause cancer and other diseases and needs to be taken out of your body. In our small-scale clinical study, 75% of glyphosate was removed in just 6 weeks, even if you didn't change your diet. Okay? And
real quick on that, Dave,
yeah.
I know that the glyphosate turns off the shikimic pathway, and what is that responsible for? If you could touch on that a little bit.
So there's, first of all, having that food which is partially digested, finished being digested, is critically important. Having it go through the lining of your gut. If your gut lining is, let's say, stretched out, then food that shouldn't get through gets through. You know, chemicals that shouldn't enter, and food that should go to your blood actually exits. The nutrients actually leave. And so, but I just want to jump to one thing that I was just about to say because I don't want to forget.
Sorry, go ahead.
Our mood, okay, is dramatically impacted. So let's say you walk into a store or go to your cupboard and you're like, why did I come here, right? You walk across the room and you feel a little bit dizzy. You know, you feel bloated when you shouldn't feel bloated. You know, these are all things related to the lack of our body communicating from the second brain, which is your gut, to the first brain, which is in your head. And the brain in your head carries out sort of like reactions that makes things in the body happen, but it is told what to do by your gut. The messages come from your gut, they're received by your brain, and your brain then orders everybody what to do. But if your gut gets interrupted, then all of this gets interrupted, and that's why you feel like things aren't quite right. Additionally, serotonin, okay? Serotonin and testosterone are what we call happy hormones. They trigger responses, the way that you react to things, the way that you feel about things, how good you feel about the future, okay? How good you feel about today. All of this is actually part of this hormonal interaction. And when you lose the body's ability to create serotonin, then your testosterone may not be activated either, right? So we've got a really downward spiral, and we've got to repair that gut, and we're the only thing that's clinically proven to do that. Now, again, detoxifying parasites. You know, I really want to hear from you again, my brother. This is a long talk, and I apologize. Be patient with me. Detoxifying parasites is critical, not just if you eat meat, not just if you eat pork. If you've ever kissed somebody, if you ever swam in a river, okay, those are real good sources. Now, a freshwater river, not the ocean, right? But those things can create parasites. Parasites lay eggs every 20 days. You think you do a parasite cleanse and it's all cool? No. You got to do that same parasite cleanse 20 days later to make sure you sweep up all the eggs and all the recently hatched eggs as well. So, so we put it all together, your fruits, your vegetables, your protein, okay? Cleansing of your gut, and then, you know, exactly, and then parasite cleanse. So it sounds like a lot when you say 5 products. Oh my God, 5 products. It really is not a lot at all when you realize what it does from your body. And before I finish talking, I want to say that people come to me and they go, oh my God, could I talk about, it's $12 a day. And I'm like, yeah, well, I just saw you spend $20 at Starbucks. And I saw you and your family went out to fast food that cost you $20 each for a hamburger and fries. So I've seen what's out there, even if I don't eat it. And I'm telling you, it is a false objection to say, oh my God, this is $12 a day. Our friend Naiva went to a restaurant, wanted a salad that wasn't even organic. It was $9, and it looked like iceberg lettuce with a slice of tomato and some nasty old carrots, you know. I mean, it's a different world, you guys. This product is so affordable. It's such an investment in your future. The way that you feel today, you know, next week and a year from now is really, really unbelievable.
Wow. So we're hitting all of our bases here. Pesticide cleanse with the Biomedic, parasite cleanse with the Super Cleanser, nourishing with the greens in the Power Shake.
Forever chemicals with the greens, getting rid of forever chemicals with the greens.
Also getting rid of the forever chemicals with the Power Shake, the pre-digested protein with the super aminos, and then that naturally occurring melatonin with the Apothecary.
Yeah,
absolutely complete package there. It's amazing. Now, when I had interrupted you, sorry about that. I had asked you specifically about the shikimic pathway. I know that the gentleman, Mr. Roundup, the guy who spoke at not this last convention, but the one before that, when we were in Arizona, he talked a lot about the shikimic pathway. I don't know if you remember any of that stuff.
I really don't specifically.
Okay. I think he said something along the lines how glyphosate turns off our shikimic pathway, which is tied to our ability to be in tune with our senses of smell, taste, touch, these things.
Yeah, the mitochondrial related things, and it's just such a close relation. I wasn't aware of that. Sounds like almost like COVID to me.
Exactly. And the amazing thing is that Biomedic is clinically proven to pull that out. So in essence, it would turn that shikimic pathway back on.
Amazing. I think that was Bob Quinn who spoke to that.
Yeah, I don't remember the gentleman's name. Whoever that guest speaker was, he crushed it. I forget the guy's name. Anyways, yeah, so thanks so much, Dave, for kind of rolling through those products with us there. What was I want to talk specifically about, one of the few main products that you were introducing to the world in the beginning, and it's that ancient Egyptian wheatgrass. What is the ancient Egyptian wheatgrass? What are people getting from this? How is it valuable? What can it do to their lives now? You know, guys, Dave just went through 5 products that Purium offers, right? And that's the ultimate lifestyle transformation. But on our website, we have over 100. And this ancient wheatgrass, ancient Egyptian wheatgrass, kamut, Dave's about to explain it, is just one of those other amazing 100 products that you can get on the website. Go ahead, Dave.
And you'll notice the kamut is a main ingredient in the power shake as well, just to make sure we're not missing it, right?
Oh,
So,
wow. Yeah. Thanks for correcting me.
we list it as wheatgrass because so we don't mention that it's the ancient Egyptian kamut, and that's more of a royalty thing. Like we didn't want to have to. So Bob Quinn is an amazing researcher, and he found a seed that was taken from the Egyptian tomb, and they went through like 20 years to prove genetically that it actually was that grain that was used 5 to 10,000 years ago, you know, in the Fertile Crescent, that was, you know, used by Egyptians, used by Roman soldiers, used, you know, in this way, right? So he then, you know, trademarked the name kamut. I don't remember the origin of the name, but there is some origin to it. It's the Egyptian goddess of green grain, as I recall. So if you were to look at the origin of kamut, the Egyptian goddess of green grain or something like that.
Awesome.
And so I then met him, and could I tell a funny story real quick?
Please.
So we're at the biggest nutrition, like in the whole world, the biggest nutrition like gathering in the whole world. And hundreds, thousands, tens of thousands of people come to this each year. And I'm in line to get my ticket because I'm an exhibitor. And I am standing, this guy's behind me. It walks up to me, he goes, "Hey, do you know what line it is for people to get their tickets?" I go, "Well, if you're pre-registered like me," I said, "then you're in this little short line. But if you didn't pre-register, you're going to be in that long line over there." Yeah. And he goes, "Well, I didn't pre-register." So he walks over to the long line. Well, I'm next in line, and I walk up, and she goes, "We don't have you here. You didn't pre-register."
Oh, shoot.
And I just was a total smart ass to this guy. Then I go to the other line. I'm behind him in the other line, right? But that's the way that fate works. Because I look in his hat. He's a cowboy. He's got this big old hat, you know. In his hat is a piece of wheat that's bigger than any wheat I've ever seen. I mean, it's giant. It looks like wheat from, like, you know, Jurassic Park, right? And so I go, I'm in the wheat business, you know. I said, "What is that?" And he goes, tells me the story. "This is the original wheat from Egypt. It's a primordial wheat. You know, it goes back 10,000 years." And he goes, "And I am going to introduce this wheat to the world," right? Like, that's really awesome. Wow. I said, "Have you ever grown wheat grass?" Right? And he's like, "Huh?" I shook his hand. I said, "We're going to be really good friends." So I got the exclusive right to grow wheatgrass out of this ancient Egyptian grain. And that's how I started my company. It was my very first product. And I started out introducing wheatgrass to the world. And we could go back from that, you know, but we don't need to, you know, of why I was starting my own company and how I discovered, you know, what other people were doing with products. And that's what motivated me to make pure products.
I mean, Dave, if you want to touch on that real quick, 5-minute story, you know, you could summarize it short if you want to.
I can make it into
I love that story.
I was working for a Japanese pharmaceutical company because they said they were going to take traditional healing and turn it into like pharmaceutical quality and then bring it to the nutrition world. And so I went to work for him, and for 6 years we were developing some pretty amazing things. I mean, some really amazing stuff. But probably the coolest thing was barley grass that was dried into a powder. And he told me it was organic. He told me it was pure. He told me that, you know, that it was organic and pure. And he told me that it was, well, I can't think of the other thing. But the bottom line is that I was working for him for 6 years, and I told him, "Why aren't you ever providing me with these C of A's? I mean, I've been asking a long, long time, you know, organic, you know." So it was so it's pure chemical free. And so he just wouldn't do it. And he's
Mm.
like, I'm the 100th richest man in the world. You're a little punk. How dare you question me, right? And I'm like, okay, you know. So then I took my money and I sent it out to labs, and it came
Mm.
back, and it was 40% maltodextrin, right?
Wow.
Some of the batches were close to 50% maltodextrin,
Mm.
and that maltodextrin was not organic. That means it was made from corn that was carrying glyphosate and other chemicals, right? And so I went to him and I said, hey, you know, we got to talk. Like, and he said, you're fired. Within 6 months, I had found the purest soil in the world to grow
Mm.
food. I had found a drying method that allowed me, as you know, to make the low temperature, 100% pure, you know, organic green powders.
Mm.
And I just put it all together, you know, like three really important parts that were totally they didn't know each other. And I brought those three parts together, and I never knew those three parts existed just 6 months before. And that's the
Mm.
power of prayer. You know what I mean? I went to South Point on the Big Island in Hawaii, and I opened my heart to God. And I said, if you give this to me, I won't eat for a year, right? And it
Wow.
happened, you know? And as you know, I kept going. I didn't eat for 16 months. So, but that's the power of prayer. And that's the power of an exchange. You know, you don't just get and ask. You got to
Mm.
show that you want that. You got to show that you want that love. You got to show that you
Yes.
want what you're asking for. You can't just ask. Oh, I got on my knees and asked. I'm so humble. No,
Mm.
you know. So I told the great creator that there might be a lot of money that's going to have to flow through me, but I'm not asking it to flow to me. If
Mm.
you ever seen how humbly I live, you know, you'll see that is actually manifest.
Absolutely.
You know, and yes, you know, I live on a big piece of property with horses and ducks and stuff, but I adopted those horses when other people were going to kill them. I adopted
Mm.
those ducks when they were abandoned. You know,
Mm.
I live in a house that was built in 1910. You know,
Mm.
you know, so
Humble man for sure.
yeah. So I'm just saying that, you know, I don't have fancy things, but man, I have a lot of love in my life. I have people who have been able to bring to a better place in my life, and thank you for being one of those people who heard me and believed me and took up that flag. You know, because we have a lot of people out there who still need to hear what we are saying, and
Absolutely.
if we're saying it out of ego, like I'm here to save you, no, I'm here to show you what's
Mm.
possible. You know what I mean? I'm here to show
Mm.
you what's possible, and I want what's possible for you. I can't
Mm.
even save myself, you know.
That's right.
So,
That's
yeah.
right.
So again,
Thank you so
blessings.
much
I've been
for
talking so much, so please let's pass the baton.
no, man. I mean, honestly, there's some stuff in there that I would appreciate if you could expand on. Actually, number one, if we could kind of talk about this sacred soil that you found. Where is it? Why is it sacred? What makes it different than other organic soil? And then if you kind of touch on your breatharian journey and you know that vision that story of that vision that you had at the end of that as well. First,
Oh.
the soil, though, please. What is the
Well,
soil? Where's
humility is
our
a
food
really big
grown
thing.
in? What is the soil you're talking about?
So I can't tell you exactly geographically because I said that, and then people started driving by and wanting to
That's
tour and
okay. That's
stuff.
okay. We don't need to know the
Uh,
exact place.
but I can say it's in southern Utah.
Okay.
Um, I've had the soil tested 100 times to make sure it was clean and pure and safe. Because as soon as they hear Southern Utah, people go, there were nuclear tests in Utah, but trust me, I know that, and I've tested it 1,000 times over. Um, it is a dry lake bed. This dry lake bed for thousands of years, collected matter, you know what I mean? Dying fish and shells and, all the algae and everything like that, and every year it filled up a little more with sediment, a little bit more with sediment. And it got more shallow and more shallow and more shallow until it was so shallow that the sun actually just evaporated the little bit of water that did accumulate, And so uh, that 10,000 acres was the most amazingly pure soil. And so we planted, for 3 years, we planted alfalfa, and we turned it right back into the soil. And there was a time when you could grab it and pick it up, and there'd be like 100 earthworms in the soil that you grabbed.
Wow.
And so we converted that to our farms, where we grow these greens. And not everything we sell you grows on that farm, but most of the greens do.
Awesome. And this is virgin soil, you said, never exposed to pesticides.
It was then. It was then. Now we just use awesome rotations, 10,000 acres. About every 5 years we come back to a area that we had used before now.
Brilliant.
Yeah, it was virgin when we got there. Yeah.
This is true regenerative farming.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. And if you could expand a little bit on your story of, you mentioned breatharianism. How did you get there? What was that like? What was that vision you had of telling you to go back?
I don't want anybody to be offended when I say this, but it was ego.
Okay, that's okay.
It really was.
Appreciate the honesty.
So when I was a vegetarian, I wanted something more, so I became a vegan. But then when I was a vegan, everybody started competing, who's the best vegan? I'm more vegan than you are. I saw you drink milk or eat butter, so you're not really a vegan. It just became very judgmental. Sure. And that's not, a world I thought I wanted to live in. Then I go, oh, I could play this game. And then I became a pure vegan, a raw food vegan, right? Right? Don't even cook your food. Then it was don't even eat with the utensil. You have to eat with your fingers, Yeah. And then it became a fruitarian where I could only eat fruit. But then it became a fruitarian. We could only eat fruit that fell off of the tree. So I had to walk around Hawaii looking for macadamia nuts and avocados and Vive fruit and all these things that were falling off of trees, right? So imagine all the people in the world couldn't possibly live that way. So think how ego that is to think that people should live a way that no one really could. There's not enough trees dropping fruit around for everybody.
Right.
So, but then, because, Victoras Kulvinskas, I'm sure many of you know of Victoras. So Victoras Kulvinskas, a little bit older than me, but he was living in the islands at that time. And he was like, no, we got to take it to the next level. We could live on sunlight, And I'm like, yeah, this will teach all these guys who's the real, who's really superior, So, so I went for that, And so I have to admit that I was drinking wheatgrass an ounce a day. So I wasn't a true breatharian, but I had to build chloroplasts in my body. Chloroplasts are the part of our body that actually absorb energy from the sun.
Okay.
And I wanted more of them, right? So it was getting crazy. I have to admit, it was getting crazy not having any food. I was down to, my partner, Amy, who I'm partner in the business with, right?
Yeah.
So she's like, you only weigh 117 pounds. How much further could this go? Because, I did weigh 205 once, when I was a football player, So I was down a lot, and so, but what really ended it for me is the story I know that you would like me to tell. And I'd love to tell it because it just shows, why we're here, So I was, I know this sounds crazy to most people, but I was sort of on an astral projection and I saw two spirits, and I'd never seen anything when I was on an astral projection before. And the spirit said, what are you doing here? And I said, well, I'm a pure being of light. And they said, no, you're not. You're a human. And I said, well, I don't want to be a human. And they said, why? I said, because humans hurt each other on purpose, They have wars and they have, they have prejudices and they hate on each other. And they just have all these emotions, all these feelings that I just don't want to be part of, They kill animals, they kill their brothers, they kill everything, And they said, well, that's why God put you here, This is what you're supposed to survive. This is what you're supposed to live through. This is what you're supposed to prove that you're better, not by not eating this or not eating that, but by treating people with kindness, you know, whatsoever I do to the least of my brother, you know?
Mm.
And so I came back and I decided to live a life of somebody who doesn't judge, you know, the life of somebody who heals, the life of somebody who lends a hand, you know?
Mm.
And, you know, that was going to put me in touch with people who weren't anything like me, people who were eating hamburgers and you know, and hunting and all these things that wasn't anything like me. So how was I going to bridge the gap between those people and the information I had for them, you know, the love that I had for them, the food that I wanted to provide for them.
Mm.
And so, you know, now I try to be, you know, a peacemaker, you know, I try to be someone who has love for everybody, no judgment, you know, and I feel that just, it's where I'm at right now. You know, I want to come up to people, don't take this wrong, who may be eating the way I don't eat, who may not look the way that I look, who may, you know, not worship the way I worship, who may not be anything like me.
Right.
And I want to save them, you know?
Mm. Brilliant. Thank you so much for sharing, Dave, and, you know, your story, talking about the transformation, where you started this entire journey of healing through family, through love, you know, rooted in that love from your aunt. And now you are projecting that same love onto the rest of the world through service and service of your mental capacity, so that people can understand how to truly nourish themselves with superfoods, with greens, with living foods, because we're living beings. And, you know, I'm so grateful you've helped begin so much of my healing journey. You took my healing journey to another level. You know, I was just someone who was plant-based, but being someone who was just plant-based and having a lot of processed foods, I thought that being plant-based was the way. But, you know, still having processed foods, it was
Let's just say
you.
we're beyond that.
Absolutely, absolutely. And if you had never taken the initiative to show people what organic living foods looks like,
Oh,
it wouldn't have.
there was a good Beyond Burger joke in there that you
Oh,
missed.
I get it. We're beyond the Beyond Burgers, yes. No, I get it now. Thank you so much, Dave.
Could I say one
Yeah,
more thing?
sure, brother, please.
So scientists studied cells and they found that the macrophage activity in the cells was dormant. There was no scavenging being done, even though there were abundant macrophage in the cells. And then they had them start to watch a funny movie or tell them a joke or had them exercise or watch a sunset. And those macrophage were really excited and went around
Mm,
cleaning up all of the nasty stuff within the cells. So I want
mm,
to tell you that healing is not just about food. Healing is about love. Healing is about laughter. Healing is about activity. Healing is about watching sunrises. Healing is about loving your
mm,
dog and your cat and your children and yourself. Okay? Healing has many forms. And don't forget that if you love yourself enough to take superfoods, if you love yourself enough to exercise, if you love yourself enough, right, to commune with other people, then you're actually healing yourself. You know,
yes.
and that's the thing, is that it isn't just on words, it isn't just on paper, it isn't just a mathematical equation. It's
Mm,
you making a decision to love yourself, and then the love spreading into your cells and
mm,
helping you heal before you've even taken the food. Just because
mm,
you made a decision to take the food.
mm.
Think about that.
The healing is in the feeling.
Oh, beautiful. That's right. So,
It just came to me.
well,
Santos,
thank you
any
for
final
inviting
words
me.
of anything that you want to say to Brother Dave? Anything you want to say? You know, you've been on Purium now a couple of years now, man, and just any thoughts that you have?
Yeah, well, just know that for however long it's been a couple of years that I've been on Purium, Isaac will know, but maybe 3, 2 to 3, Isaac.
Yeah, we're at just about 3 actually. Coming
Okay.
up on this next month will be 3 years.
Yeah. So I've always wanted to be. It's funny you mentioned breatharian. I've been on this theme for years and years and years and years because I have a very Neoplatonic and Gnostic philosophy. Well, syncretism is what I teach, so eating food is gluttony, it's gross, but, where it ends up is not nice, right? But I'm thinking about the purity of how we can nourish ourselves. You went through the whole thing, but then, right, we come back to a balance, and there's something that we have to sustain ourselves for the level that we are on. So Purium has helped me to achieve. I'm on that path where I'm going to get there. I will, by sheer will, breatharian or whatever. But it's been the step, because it's made me very, very liquidarian thinking.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
I have what I call a liquid lifestyle,
Yep.
and so thanks for bringing that up.
What is that liquid lifestyle for you, Dave? What's that look like for you?
Well, I wake up and I have like some Power Shake beet juice and dark berry. Add some coconut water and some cocoa hydrate. Just jam that right up, and then I start there. I drink tart cherry during the day. I know not everybody does that, but I do. I have an organic bubbly water, and I just mix it with different like orange and lemon and different things, and then I make that cold, and I drink that all day. Throughout the day, I have 2 of those throughout the day. I'll have usually some light food in the morning. Avocado toast, I have to say, is probably my jam. Love a avocado toast. I love a mango. Like he said, bananas. That's like blueberries. That's like the main thing consumed of us is avocados, bananas, blueberries. That's like every day you find that in our house. And mangoes. Sorry, I forgot the mangoes. And then I'll roll into my second shake of the day. But I have an amino acid. I have to tell you, I don't know if I'm allowed to admit this. I have 50 amino acids a day. So 5 times a day, I take 10 amino acids. You got to understand, I'm 63, okay? And when I take off my shirt around my friends who are 20 and 30 years younger than me, it's not me looking at them, okay? It's usually them looking at me. And so that's not bragging. I'm just saying, and so I got no problem taking off my shirt, not here, not now. But
No.
The bottom line is
High vibe fest. We'll do it.
Yeah. So well, I'm rolling as every time I see a gap, I just take my aminos. It's inconsistent, but every time I see a gap, I just jam on the super aminos, and then I make probably the meanest vegetarian fajitas that you've ever had.
Absolutely, they're delicious.
We make homemade tortillas. We make a lot of our food. We have friends who make challah bread for us every Friday. Our neighbors, and just we're eating close to the earth.
Dave, real quick, one final thing. Could you comment a bit about the Purium economy in how people can, not only bless themselves with these superfoods, but also bless the world, and how you would bless them with a commission by sharing these superfoods as well?
Well, this all started out with me on my personal journey. You know what I mean? And then I realized that was sort of selfish, that I needed to share it with the world. And when I worked for the Japanese company and then it folded, like in my world, I'm like, wow, this must be my calling. This must be my push. I'm out of the nest now. I got to do something with this knowledge I have and with this inspiration I have. And so I started selling my product into retail stores, had a pretty good retail brand and had like dozens of people like Ian working for me, going into the stores. I had to pay slotting fees. By the time, the distributor who brings it to the store makes 25%. The store makes 50%. The jobber who goes around and makes sure that your product's at the right place on the shelf, right? That they get like 10%.
Yeah.
Then you have to advertise in their magazines, go to the trade shows like that one I was going to, right? And by the time you're done, like the money goes to people who didn't do a damn thing, who don't even know the name of your product, don't know anything about the ingredients list, don't know the history about the people who made it, don't know anything. So if you try to connect with the product, you can't, because it's just, it's one paper tiger behind another. You can't really get to it. It's like one of those automated phone systems, right? You really never know who you're talking to. And so we decided to be up close and personal. We wanted to have relationships. We wanted the people who buy my product to know somebody who uses my product, to know somebody who believes in me, to know somebody, right? And that same money that was going to the distributor and to the store, like half of that money should just go to the people who build a Purium economy. Why should we throw the money away to people who don't even know us when we could save half of that and give it to people who do? And that's real. That's real. I'm real. I don't sit there and pretend. So we created the Purium economy, where you actually could get these products at a discount. And then if you love them, and remember, there's a 60-day money back guarantee, so there's no risk. Just give it a try. If you love them, then you going, wow, you're looking good. Why does your skin look better? Why are you so much thinner? Why do you have so much energy? Well, just tell them, well, there's a reason why, and that's because of my Purium lifestyle. But the Purium lifestyle also gives the opportunity to share the Purium lifestyle into the Purium economy. Now, we have to be really careful because the FCC laws are making claims, okay? But we have what's called a disclosure form that we had to show to the FCC to make sure that it was truthful. And if you look at that disclosure form, which tells you how much people are making and what's possible to make in the Purium economy, it's going to blow your mind. And right now, somebody's telling you where to live because you have to live near where you work. They're telling you what time to get up. They're telling you what time you could have lunch. They're telling you what time you could get off, what time you could have a vacation, right? They give you a limited number of days that are yours throughout the year. And they might give you a raise. They might give you a promotion. They might give you a bonus, but then again, they might not. I guarantee you, I show you my bonuses. I show you my promotions, okay? I show you all of that, and you could look at it and know whether or not you're going to get it, whether or not you're not. And it's totally up to you whether you do or not. And so the matrix, what we call the paycheck matrix, is real. When you're working with Purium, when you start making money, you live where you want to live because you don't need to be near your job. You work the hours that are best for you because no one tells you when to clock in or when to clock out or even to clock in or clock out. And the main thing is that you're going to work with people you like because you hand selected them. Hey, I'd like to work with you. Let's do this together. It becomes like, it's such a connection. It's just so fun to work with people that you like, people that are doing what you do. And how many places do you earn money knowing that you made people's lives better? 100%. You made people's lives better physically, emotionally, and even financially. I mean, this is the best not job I've ever had. And I don't like that term, just over broke. I got friends who are working and they're making money. They're doing good, but they're still in Purium because they need a little extra money. They wanted a nicer car. They wanted to take a vacation. So it's not just like leaving your job and doing only Purium. I have a lot of people who are making an extra $1,000, $2,000, $3,000, $5,000 a month, still working their regular job. So I'm not trying to tell you one way or the other. Like, I didn't try to make having a job seem like it's evil. I'm just telling you that we have people making tens of thousands of dollars, people that made multiple millions in the last 2 or 3 years working this job, which isn't a job.
The lifestyle
It's
of sharing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Of sharing and superfoods. Thank you so much, Dave. Thank you so much, Santos. Really appreciate both of you gentlemen's time today. We're at just about an hour. Want to keep this as informative and short as possible. Any final thoughts from either of you gentlemen?
Not at all. Just a pleasure to be with you. And, there's a lot of good things to do with your life. There's a lot of good things that you could eat. I just think I'm showing you some really good ones.
Yeah. Santos, final thoughts?
Much love to you, brother, for your efforts. Firstly and mostly because how you've gone about this, the whole thing. You know, I'm a hermit, so I've got to do things like exercise and hiking and things to keep healthy and what have you. But your everyday action, doing things, you know, the paddocks, teaching, right? I'm just sitting here, yeah, and God provides, right? So I want to thank you for like all that work and labor, because I did that when I was younger, but now I'm 62. You're 63. I'm 62. So I'm in my rest.
So
So
by Native American church standards, I'm 13 years an elder, and he's 12 years an elder. And at this point in our lives, we're supposed to be turning our attention to helping others.
yeah,
We've already passed the point where we're gathering. Now's
yeah.
when we're sharing. So thank you, Santos.
Much love.
From Sando to Santos, it all works.
Yes.
Santa. Oh, wow.
All right, y'all. Thank you for the invitation. We'll catch up with you again.
Thank you so much, Dave. Thank you, Santos. Much love, brother.
All right.
See you guys.
Bye-bye now.
Peace.
Bye bye.
Peace.